If you're going to suffer either way, why not choose the lesser of the two evils? That was the biggest aha moment for me when I was first transitioning into my sober lifestyle. I realized that on the times when I was sober, I went through some suffering. It was a lifestyle change. I was mourning a different side of me. It was hard. And then I was suffering when I was not sober. I was suffering either way. And I thought, what kind of crap deal is this? And then I had to think about it. The negotiation going on in my mind, the mental tug of war of, indecision, of excuses, of all sorts of bargaining regarding and surrounding the whole sobriety issue. The guilt, the shame, all of that was costing me so much more than sobriety ever would. And that was the tipping point. And that's what we're going to discuss today on this episode of the Conscious Coffee Break. Hey there, I'm Jennifer Sack, and I love to encourage clarity, some confidence, and some courage in transitioning into your sober lifestyle by taking the fear out of it, like facing it head on and just talking about it and what you're going to go through, what you might already be going through, what you maybe have the 50 million times you tried before. We're going to normalize all that and make it a very familiar situation so it's not scary. I'm not saying it's not hard, but it's not scary. It's something that you can do and you can stick to it. I've got 5 years under my belt, and I tell you, I never would have thought that I would ever have that. Decades, I'm telling you, decades of daily substance abuse in my life. And it really took one decision. And the aha moment I spoke about in the intro was truly what broke me. It was like, hey, I'm going to suffer either way here. Temporarily in the beginning with sobriety, I really knew at some point it could not be suffering, that if I stayed sober long enough, it would just become my new normal. So there was this moment of like, okay, there's going to be some temporary suffering, and then I'll move past it. And then on the flip side of that, I knew the price I was paying every day, day in and day out for the tug of war in my mind every day regarding my sobriety because that would never go away. Because every time I did something that was out of alignment, because I knew deep within myself that I didn't want to be doing this anymore. This was not beneficial for me. It was harming various aspects of my life and health. I knew deep down it needed to stop, which means anytime I would partake in that, yeah, sure, there's the quick serotonin or dopamine hit that I get, the relaxation, whatever it is. But in the background, there's the narrative, the shame, the guilt, the why can't you stick to sobriety? What's wrong with you? Gosh, are you so weak? Like all of the things. And then the bargaining that would come in. The bargaining, like, well, maybe if I just do this today, then tomorrow will be different. Or, trying to set standards of what would be okay and what's not considered okay. And just, and that would change all the time based on my use. So the more I used or drank, the standard would go up. Like, it's not so bad. Look around you. Everybody else is doing that. You change your standard based on your own behavior to make yourself not feel bad. And then when you step back and look at it and you're just like, no, this is just not right, no matter how you slice and dice it, then you've got issue and you've got internal warfare going on because you know that something's not right. You're misaligned, shame and guilt kick in. You're making excuses all the time. You're thinking about if say you have set a standard and you're like, all right, I'm just going to, only drink one time a day, one drink this time of day. Yeah, that's the thing. All day long, you're waiting for that moment. You're planning it out. Your whole day revolves around that pivotal moment that you'll actually get to drink or whatever, and it's obsessive and it takes over everything. And then all the other moments where you're not getting to do that thing, you're miserable because you want to be, you want to be. There's a side of you that doesn't want to be wanting it. And there's all this conflict going on inside of you. God forbid you run out of whatever it is that you partake in. You've got to readjust your whole life to go, get more. And it's just like literally your whole life becomes obsessed with this addiction, this whole thing. It is exhausting. It is a price you pay to stay there. So once I realized, this is awful. It's not the alcohol or the substances that is my pain. I mean, that caused some pain if you overdo it, right? And I certainly overdid it. But it's really this mental negotiation that's constant in my mind. That's where the pain is. And so, yeah, getting out of that loop and moving into sobriety was going to cause some other discomfort, temporary discomfort. And I knew that. I didn't know what it would look like on the other end when I was like maintaining and sustaining sobriety. I'd never been there. I mean, I had when I was a child, but I didn't remember. It had been so long. It's like, what? I remember thinking, how do people do that? How are they not miserable? What do they even look forward to? God, that sounds awful. I remember thinking that about sober people. Secretly, I was really jealous because I'm like, they have something I don't have. They have the ability to just move through life and it's okay. And that made me mad that I couldn't do that. And the fact is that I could. I just hadn't done it in so long. I didn't know what that felt like. But I knew I could get there. I knew I could get there. And that once I was there, this suffering would no longer be. It would just become a natural state to stay sober all of the time, day in, day out. And in the beginning, there is sort of an obsession with the sobriety. You're counting hours, maybe counting days, counting months. All day long, you're thinking about, how you're not drinking and what you're choosing instead. But eventually, it wears away. You don't even think about it anymore. You think about it when things pop up and you'll see other people drinking, commercials, shows. I mean, there is definitely enough in our environment that keeps it keeps it kind of like, "Hey, hello, look at me. I'm still here." But the whole obsession with the sobriety part of it goes away too, because that can become an obsession of its own, right? You can go way too far in the spectrum. The pendulum can swing way too far where you're like really sober conscious. I think that kind of happens in the beginning and then things level out and it's just the way you are. And you'll notice when things come up that make you think about wanting to partake again. And then you think about, I'm probably not going to want to do that. Because why? This is the very thing that I come back to every time. What does it cost? Where is the price that I'm paying and how great is it? Is it worse over here in this camp where I'm just sober and I move through an urge and go, oh, there's an urge again and let it go? Maybe miss it, maybe mourn it again, whatever? Or is the price over here of defaulting, going back into cycles, back into the loop, adding shame and guilt, all of that, is that worth it to me? No, 100% no. So that once you weigh that out, you realize where the real cost is. The cost isn't moving into sobriety. It's staying where you are, stuck. So that reframe was like the ticket for me to understand, like, wow, if I'm going to suffer, I'm at least going to choose the thing that is the lesser of the two evils, that is most beneficial for me and those around me, and for my children, and for my life, and for my budget, and for my body, and for my sleep, and for everything. Everything there is in your life is better off without whatever it is that you're doing. Trust me. So it's all about choices. Every time it's always about choices. And I think that we get tunnel vision, we get conditioned, we want to stay in the same mode that we're used to. We are humans, so we're always going to want to move towards comfort, towards the easiest path. But when you start to wake up and you start to really live intentionally and with purpose by defining your purpose, defining your values, and then you pivot towards those and you kind of, it's like grist for the mill. You kind of just one step at a time move towards that. And maybe you're carving a new path and there's a little discomfort in the beginning. It's like trudging up a hill, but eventually it just becomes a well worn path. And that just becomes the way you are. You're aligned, you're living in alignment with your values. You're living intentionally choosing, not just going with the herd, doing what everybody's doing what you've always done. The conditioning is no longer a part of you. You are the one orchestrating and actively participating in your life rather than just getting swept up in the river. Okay, so that's really the point I want to make here is that life is all about choices. And you really need to know what you stand for, what your true standards are, what is aligned for you, what is not. Once you gather all that information, the rest just follows suit. So you need to really dive deep into what is meaningful to you. What would sobriety mean to you? And I'll tell you, when you start making those steps towards it, your trust in yourself will grow and it will become easier to trust that you can maintain that. Because if you're like me and you faltered over and over again, going back and forth, sobriety, not blah, 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 telling people and then embarrassed when you when you don't follow through. And I mean, you lose a little self-trust in yourself and you really regain that. And that self-trust will filter into all the aspects of your life because you now trust yourself to make decisions, not just when it comes to sobriety, but in anything that you're faced with, because you can hear yourself again, because you're used to flexing that muscle and doing what you feel is right. You're suddenly setting more boundaries. You're speaking up. You're no longer, just doing what you used to do. You're very consciously aware. And that is what life is about, right? Living, actively participating, consciously aware with intention and purpose. Okay, so I want to remind you that the relief did not come from sobriety. It just came from the decision, from ending that mental tug of war, knowing there would be suffering either way, but making a decision to just go the right way, the way that felt right for me. And I cannot tell you what is right for you. I will not. But I will tell you, if you know and have that inkling in your heart that you need to move into this lifestyle, into a sober lifestyle, that's all you need to know. Because it's not going to quit screaming at you. It'll whisper in the beginning and then it'll get louder and louder until it screams so hard that you have to listen. So, how much do you want to suffer until that point happens? Okay. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, my friends. I'll see you on the next one.